Hey, good evening, my fellow Americans. If it's Monday, if it's 8 p.m., it's the Robert DeVerney Show. Well, this evening I'd like to say a great good evening to all my loyal fans who are always logged in when they know if it's 8 p.m., it's the Robert DeVerney Show. This week is, of course, the Holy Week. I'd like to take a minute to wish all my viewers, all my subscribers, a happy Easter. Since this is our last show before Easter Sunday, I would not see you until the following Monday. So I would like to take this moment to reflect on the love of Christ who died for us on the cross. It was this great week that he entered Jerusalem, and just so you and I can have eternal life. And he paid the ultimate price. So I wouldn't want to start the show without give awesome greetings to all my fellows, my Christian brothers, and those of you who have always been loyal to this show. I thank you very much. All right. Well, what we have on the agenda tonight, we have a few notes I'd like to go over with you, things we're going to be considered on tonight's show. Tonight we're going to be easy on the politicians. It's a Holy Week. We try not to be on them too hard, but then again, we still have a job here to do at the homage at the Robert DeVerney Show, which is very important that we keep those in mind, because we have people that we serve, and this is an oath that we've taken from the get-go, that to bring you the news on a regular basis and unbiased, and because we don't want to be any encumbrance to our viewers, and our job is to facilitate all these news that are coming in from left and right, and then let you focus on things that matter the most. Again, this evening, what I'd like to talk to you about will be the recent law that happened in Georgia, the great state of Georgia. As of last week, the Georgia has recently passed a new voting law, called SB202, Senate Bill 202. Pretty much what it does, it just gut out the voting rights for the Georgian residents. As you know, what happened in the last election, the state of Georgia has turned to be blue. We did not see that coming, but since last week, those of you who watch the show regularly, you know that last week we covered Miss Stacey Abrams, who has been an anchor when it comes to voting rights, when it comes to voter registration, and also with pushing the agenda of the Democratic Party. Now, with all due respect, we have to understand the gravity of what happened last week. Last week just tells us, as Americans, we cannot sit back and wait for the government to do the people's job. So we as participants, we as voters, we have our say-so. So that's the reason why I know there's a lot of things happening right now. There's COVID, there's a stimulus, there's so much happening, and we oftentimes lose sight of what really matters. So no matter what we do has consequences. And then again, the last election has proven very well that those who lost the election, they had an agenda. They regroup, because normally that's what you do. If I'm going to give you a brief analogy when it comes to sport, those of you who may have played varsity or softball, soccer, to my Haitian fellows, you know how important it is. And those of you who play basketball, football, it's the same scenario. It's X and O's, X's and O's, X's and O's. It's always never fail. So what it is, anytime you're in a game and somehow you played your best game, and at the end of the day you lost, so you don't stop there. It's a time that you regroup, you rethink the strategy. Where have I fallen short? And this is where the new party right now, in reality, they are the new party, because this is not the Republican I've come to know. The Republican Party that I've known in the 80s, the Republican Party who resembled Ronald Reagan, the lack of Blake, the lack of so many other great senators who were in the state of Georgia, also the state of Illinois. The name goes I mean, I can go on and on and on. And there were issues at hand, but it wasn't a way that to a way to stop others from voting. Now, with the new campaign by Stacey Abrams, the likes of Stacey Abrams, the like of the Democratic Party, who's trying to get more involved, more people to come into the voting system, that did not sit well with a lot of Republicans in the state legislature. So they drafted a bill, the SB202. I don't know if it's 2.02. I mean, so it's an upgrade. As all joke aside, but this bill, what it does, it just here to gut out the whole system of voting. So they feel it's important that never happen again in Georgia. Now, reason I'm making this the center of tonight's show, because if it could happen in Georgia, it could happen everywhere else. The great Dr. King once said, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. So in other words, we should not tolerate these things. And if it's happening in Georgia, it could happen in Florida. I mean, all the other states will follow suit. Same thing with the Supreme Court. Whenever something happened at the state level, and then it goes to the state Supreme Court. Now, if let's say the defendant somehow loses the case, so then they appeal to the higher court, which is the Supreme Court. I mean, as long as you have a good attorney who can present a brief that is relevant and deemed to hear, so it may reach the Supreme Court. And that's exactly what's happening right now. So, and then when that happened, if it reaches the Supreme Court, and if whatever happened at the Supreme Court level, it would affect the entire 50 states. So this is where I want to get with you. So that's the professorial in me. So I like to, since my audience is the best in town, the best in the nation, the best around the world, so we tend to bring home these kind of notices. And then because when you start thinking about these things, they affect us, either directly or indirectly. Either today or tomorrow, either next week or next year. But eventually, if we do not put a stop to it, it's going to hit home. When it hit home, it'll be hard for you to undo what's been done. So now with the new law, if I'm reading from some of my notes here, what it's called, this law has 98 pages, okay? It has 98 pages, and it called the election, the name of the law, think about it. The name of the bill is called the Election Integrity Act of 2021. The Election Integrity Act of 2021. Well, I wonder what happened the last 150 years. Okay, now it hit home only the fact that they lost the 2 Senate seats at the U.S. Capitol. Well, they said, well, to themselves. I mean, I'm sure they did a self-examination. They re-examined themselves. Where have we fallen short? And then let's make sure that this does not happen again. Well, that's exactly what happened. So by gutting out the Civil Rights Act and by putting new voting rights in danger, this is in peril. Put it that way. This is in peril. Because I'm sure there's a Dr. Azor who she's the ambassador of the Robert DuVernay Show here in the Great State of Georgia. I'm concerned. I'm coming to those of you who live in Georgia to take action. Take action. How do you take action? It's to write to your congressman, your congresswoman, whoever that may be. Let them know. Send them an email. And then create some groups. I mean, we did not build Rome in one day. You may think your effort is worthless, but I'm here to tell you otherwise. It's not. So if we start doing things, the same way that Stacey Abrams have put something together, where we have so many voters who come out in the last year election and deliver Georgia to both Senator Warnock and also Ossoff, the other gentleman. So that right there, it speaks volume. So we need to take these things into equation. Now they're worrying about the governorship right now, the state mentioned. They feel like, well, if if we don't put a stop to it, we may not be at the governorship anymore. So that's the reason why they're putting all these things in place. Now, in that new Election Integrity Act of 2021, they're making changes to the absentee ballot. Now, the absentee ballot, for those of you who work from home, those of you who may have some issues when it comes to reaching out to going to the polling booth, there may be some issues. Those of you who are single parents working from home, and you may have children with special needs, it may be hard for you to leave your home and then to go about and do certain things. But then again, the absentee ballot, that's what it does. It's alleviate those burden that you may have otherwise could not respond. Now, you know what, the interesting thing about this one, to be honest with you, what we're looking at, you can only request the absentee ballot 11 weeks prior. Listen to this now. It used to be 180 days. Now, we could only request it 11 weeks prior. So they cut it in half. Less than half of the time that was allotted to you prior to last year's election. Now, you, the viewers, you can tell me exactly what you see in now. And what they're doing really is, this is what you call surgical precision. They're targeting a particular ethnic group, a particular group of people. Georgia's, particularly in Atlanta, the Fulton County, these are overwhelming minority counties. I mean, if you have minorities involved, there's a chance that these people may not have a chance to ever win an elected seat. So by discouraging a group of people, that almost guaranteed them the election. So all these effort is put in place. It's not to save the sanctity of the voting system. It's not to save face, but in reality, is to win the election by any means possible. When I mean by any means possible, they'll put provision in place where they're making it much more difficult. I mean, why cut the request for absentee ballot from 180 days to 11 weeks, which you just cut it in half. Just cut it in half. Think about it. If you used to have 10 days to request for something, now you only have 5 days. All right, just a simple math for you. Just think about it. You used to have 100 days, they make it 50 days. Now, let alone if something happened, you travel outside, or you have something important besides voting. Voting is very important, don't get me wrong now. But I'm sure with all these things happening, you may at times get distracted. And then you snooze, you lose as it goes. Now, another thing in this ballot is that the change to early voting. Now, those of you who I'm sure you have seen long lines of early voting. Folks will be in line from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That was the hours for the polling place to be open. So the reason why they opened it so early, they wanted to give everyone some type of accessibility, some kind of leisure. I mean, on your way to work, those of you who start work at 8 o'clock. I mean, when you're doing early voting, you don't have to vote at your particular precinct. So you could vote anywhere within your county. For instance, if you live in Miami-Dade County, those of you who live in Florida, you could vote anywhere within the county. I mean, if you have a polling booth next to you, as long as it's early voting, you can just walk right through. But unless if it's the election day, you have to vote at your precinct, which is designed on your voter registration. Now, you think about it. Most of our folks who are minorities, they work, and some of them work 2 jobs. And then so now they move it from 7 a.m. Okay, from 7 a.m. now. We had a 2 hours early. Now they move it to 9 a.m. Okay, 2 hours. So in other words, they say, well, stay in bed. No need for you to come and vote at 7 a.m. in the morning. So we make it easy for you. It's 9 o'clock. Now, it doesn't stop there. It gets crazier. Now, it used to be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Now it's from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So they cut you another 2 hours. So in other words, a day that you had 12 hours, they automatically cut 4 hours of it. 2 from the front end, 2 from the back end. So think about it, 4 hours, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it, those of you who work overtime, okay? If you get another 4 hours overtime, I'm sure you love it, right? Don't you love working overtime? Those of you on an hourly wage, so you know what it is when you get a 4 hours overtime. It's the same thing with voting. If you have 4 hours extra that you can vote, so you could say to myself, well, I can either do it on the front end. I just leave my home early since I start work at 9. That would give me enough time to go to the voting place and cast my ballot at 7 o'clock, and then still have time to go to work and without causing any harm to my employer. But guess what? Well, if you didn't get to do it in the morning, so you say, well, you know what? I get up at 5 o'clock. I have another 2 hours. The voting place closes at 7, so I'll be able to do it. They said, wait a minute, not anymore, buddy. We call it at 5 o'clock. So guess what? You get up at 5 o'clock, you didn't get a chance to vote, you're out of gas. This is it. This is surgical precision. This guy, they look like they're conducting a surgery on a patient, open heart surgery. So there's no room to make mistake. That's exactly what they're doing. By doing this is exactly what they're doing. This is plain old simple. You can't do it. But if you remember a while back, I went ahead of what Texas was doing. I told you what I see when we come in on this show. I want my viewers to stand there to get engaged, and at the same time to pose the questions that are relevant. And because I have that a lot, I have a few of my viewers here. I'm not going to name anyone in particular, so there's no jealousy here. But they have some questions that really drive me to go on the next level. So this is what see, this show here was created in mind just for you. We want you to be engaged, and we have a few folks who's dropping by and wanted to be part of the show, but we're having a live show here. We won't stop it. Okay, well, all right, that's a side note, ladies and gentlemen. They're waving, but just log into the Robert Verney Show. I told them, I'm sorry, I'm going to make this quick announcement. Go ahead and log into the Robert Verney Show, but this is a live session here to my viewers, and I would not be able to communicate with them at this time. Now, on a different note, if you think about it, just think about it deeply. These politicians, these lawmakers, these elected officials, their job is simply to encourage others to partake in the system. Yet, all they're doing is making it difficult. We should not tolerate that. This is unacceptable. As Americans, we deserve better. This is no third world country. This is no seventh world country. We can do better than this. It reflects our nature as the author of democracy around the world. Other nations look up to us for democracy. That's the reason I'm putting emphasis on it. What's happening in Georgia could very well happen in the great state of Florida. Could very well happen in other states. Unless we, as a people, act. And how do you act? There's many ways you can act. And as I said earlier, send your congressman, your congresswoman, your local elected officials, hey, let them know. Sound it off. Let them know where you stand on the issues. And you did not elect them to vote that certain ways. I mean, we need to have all Americans. When all Americans come together, great things happen. This is when we're at our best. When all ideas, when everyone partake in the system. These are the things that we go with. All right. So now I'm sure these are the things that there's more. And then, well, I'm going to make, there's so much in that bill, but some of them are just ridiculous. I'm not going to even delve into them. But one last one I want to touch is the fact that if you in line, so I'm sure most of you have seen what happened in last year's election. We had lines, people were in lines for like 8-10 hours at a time. If you were to leave your spot to go grab a bite to eat, get something to drink, you may very well lose your spot. Okay? Now, in this new bill, if you were, now hear me out now, as a brother's keeper. Remember, I'm my brother's keeper. Okay, I look out for my brothers and sisters. It doesn't matter of your creed, your religion, your ethnicity. You are my brother, and my job is to look out for you. Say, I cast my ballot. I'm going to give you a little anecdote here. I casted my ballot early in the morning. Maybe I'm a jogger. Maybe I'm a morning person. And then I said, let me go out and jog. And then on my way back, I've seen a long line. And to my great surprise, and again, I said, I'm my brother's keeper, right? I feel in my heart to go ahead and do some good deed. Get some water, maybe some snacks to my fellow Americans in line, attempting to cast the ballot. Now, I could have done that years prior, but in this new bill, if I get caught while I'm doing a civic duty, looking out for my brothers, looking out for my sisters, looking out for my fellow Americans, that could land me in jail and a possibility of a misdemeanor charge. Simply because I'm giving my brother or my sister a bottle of water, a little snack to make up for the day that they're standing in line, or just to make their day a little lighter. That could eventually get me a record. So this is the America that we're now living. So unless we act, people, unless we act, things will get a whole lot worse. Remember, that's how fascism started. It was an idea. That idea become a way of life. It filters through the system. Next thing you know, that was it. The McCarthy era. If you don't look like them, they don't approve what you're doing. They label you as a communist. And once they put a label on you, and then we're living in a world where bad news is like wildfire. Okay, if like for instance today, or you guys watching me live here via the Robert DuVernay Show, which comes on to you every Monday at 8 p.m. As you know, if it's 8 p.m., it's the Robert DuVernay Show. If I were to do something that is totally out of this world, unacceptable, this will go viral. But I bet you some of my viewers, not most of them, but some of my viewers will not share this live with their colleagues, just simply because there's nothing that excite them. So we're living in such a sensational time in our lives. It's beyond belief. So I believe that it's time that we need to sit back and reflect on things that matters to us the most. And then voting rights is one of them. Access to the voting is one of them. And they're asking so many things. I mean, birth certificate, state ID, license. It's so many things. I mean, I'm sure most people don't have these things, but they're already in the system. They're already in the system. Why not making these things that easier? Make it accessible to all. That's what we need. We here as lawmakers to alleviate the burden of our constituents. That's what we're elected for. Not to make things difficult on our fellow Americans. No, that's not our job. Our job is simply to make things a little lighter. I'm not saying easier, but a little lighter. Because I want to know how these guys go to sleep at night. At the end of the day, what gives me joy is knowing that I help someone. If I help someone, then I've done my job. But the question I'd like to pose to our politicians this evening: do you consider yourself helping your fellow Americans? Those who sacrifice everything they have. Those who are trying to set example for others, their children, their offspring. Are we meeting those goals? Are we meeting the goals that our constituents sent us to do? So this is a question I have for you this evening. Well, my fellow Americans, I'd like to change topic. Like I said, I want to be easy with these guys tonight, but it's Holy Week, so we're not going to be bombarding them. I have a few calls this week and also a few texts and emails with regards to the $3,000 and $3,600 that which is part of the stimulus bill that the American Rescue Bill that recently passed. I'm sure most of you who is watching the Robert DeVerney show right now may have gotten your stimulus checks. If you have gotten your stimulus checks, send me a thumbs up here. You don't have to send anything to the Robert DeVerney show, but I just want to make sure that you did get your stimulus checks. And those of you who may have children, if your children, the reason I'm going over that, because those of you who have children, if your child is ranged between 1 through 5, and you will get $3,600, but that's only if you're making $150,000 as a couple or $75,000 as a single person or head of household. So reason why I'm putting emphasis on that, because I got quite a few calls, and I told my viewers that these are topics that I will be cover in some details in tonight's show. And but now those of you who have children from 6 through 17, you will get the $3,000. So $3,600 for kids from 1 to 5, and kids from 6 to 17, you get the $3,000. Now it's part of the stimulus plan, part of that rescue plan that was signed into law early this year. And but the IRS, which is the Internal Revenue Services, they're still trying to see how best way to approach it. Should they do it on an incremental basis, whereas they would send you $300 because when you do the math, it comes up like about $250 and $300 a month. So they would try to deposit that to your account on a regular basis. So the whole idea is to bring those who have some type of difficulties, to bring them into the fold. Remember, a lot of Americans are still struggling financially, and that will give them a light. They will probably see the light at the end of the tunnel if they get an extra $300 a month. Now, you're not getting the money right now, but the plan is to get this money to you by July. So you may not get the whole. Those of you who have children between again 1 through 5, you're entitled to $3,600. But that $3,600, you're not going to get all of it by July. You're most likely going to get half of it. Same thing with the stimulus. If you did not get the entire one, then you could claim it on your tax return for the following year. Okay. Now, with regards to that money, it's they're trying to keep this on the basis every year. That's what the Biden administration is shooting for. They're trying to get this money to you permanently. I know it's a big chunk of the budget. They're still fighting to see where they are, but I think there's much more to come. And just keep following the Robert DeVerney show. Again, I'm going to bring you the news as it comes, and it's my job here to because there's so much, and I believe that's my calling to come to you on a regular basis and relate the news to you. Again, it's already 8:28. We have another 2 minutes left. I don't see any questions. My viewers tonight are a bit some kind of quiet, but I understand it's Holy Week, and it's good to have you on. And those of you who logged in early this evening, thank you. And tell a friend that how important it is that you log into the Robert DeVerney show. Since we have 2 minutes left, and I'm going to close the show, I'd like to give a couple shout out to my lovely mother-in-law, Bernadette Raimi, who was celebrating her birthday this past weekend. Again, we thank God for you. You've been a great testament to our lives, and we could not ask for a better mother-in-law. Thank you so much, and stay beautiful. Again, I'd like to say good evening to Mrs. Merlandi Ruman Talamas from the great state of Georgia. We got a couple of folks from Georgia. Merlandi Ruman was in town here visiting her aunt. She came by she was part of the crew, and we thank you for making the effort. Johnny, all of you from Georgia who traveled to South Florida to make this celebration special, we thank you on behalf of the family. We thank you. And I'd like to say kudos to my brother here, Odelson Ambrose, who's doing a wonderful job in the great city of Miami. Of course, Dr. Azor, who never failed not to log in on time, and we applaud you for being a loyal viewer of the Robert DuVernay Show. Dr. Jarla DuVernay, she's our producer. And those of you, if you could see me here tonight, and this is my producer, really sponsor me with suits. I mean, whenever you see me, I look good. It's, of course, my lovely wife, Dr. Jarla DuVernay, who really put this thing together. And then I couldn't ask for a better wife. And what else? I guess this is it. I'd like to wish you all a happy and safe Easter on this week, and stay tuned for more. We're gonna have a special week. I'm sure there's more in the works, only if you keep on logging. Again, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, this week is a short week, but I wish you the very best.